The new, the great and the best of this year's Toronto International Film Festival, such as Nutcrackers, which is not only the festival's opening film, but also Ben Stiller's first starring role in 6 years. Demi Moore has passed her 50s, but she would rather not have. So she buys The Substance from Dennis Quaid, and not only gets younger, but also looks a lot like Margaret Qualley.
The Substance.
But what easy comes, easy goes, and painfully so. Pay attention to this film, which won Best Screenplay at the last Cannes Film Festival, and also its director, Coralie Ferget.
Would you like to stop?
Angelina Jolie directs Salma Hayek, who witnessed the killing of her family as a child, and now, as a woman, encounters one of the murderers. The two know everything but pretend not to, and so the chess game moves towards its inevitable end without blood, based on Barrico's novel of the same name. Meanwhile, in Venice, Angelina dresses up as a Twilight Maria Callas.
Hi.
Hi.
Since their first meeting, Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield have rarely had a boring moment, a funny car accident, a childbirth in the most unlikely place, a world-class culinary competition, so on and so forth. But Florence receives a disheartening medical diagnosis and treatment options that may or may not prove effective. What if the time spent on treatment is a waste of time that could be spent living to its fullest? We live in time. It took Homer to bring Ralph Fiennes and Juliette Binoche back together in a film 28 years after The English Patient. The return is that of Odysseus, who 20 years later is back from the Trojan War, just in time to prevent Penelope, Telemachus and himself from losing their kingdom. Directed by Uberto Pasolini, who has nothing to do with Pier Paolo, but everything to do with Luchino Visconti, his great-uncle. Chloe East and Sophie Thatcher go door to door spreading their religious ideas, and so they meet Hugh Grant, who is polite, welcoming, and fascinated by the teachings of Mormonism until his religious ideas clash with theirs. Scott Beck and Brian Woods, directors here, set designers on A Quiet Place, ask serious questions about the role of faith and pity in a world made incomprehensible by chaos and violence, during the thrilling, chilling and provoking journey which highlights the immense talent of the heretic Grant. Despite Stephen King, the life of Chuck is not macabre, though it can be unsettling as soon as Chiwetel Ejiofor begins to notice that Tom Hiddleston, a seemingly ordinary accountant, starts appearing on billboards, posters and TV commercials. The story of Chuck's life soon begins to unfold before us, tracing back to a childhood with grandfather Mark Hamill, who teaches him accounting and passes on his love of dancing while hiding a prophetic secret in the attic. On the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live, it's surprising to see how unlikely everything was during the frantic hour and a half before a group of unknown, inexperienced and totally unaware young comedians managed to put together the first show, led by Canadian Lorne Michael, Gabriel Lebel, desperately trying to channel the chaos into a vision that even he wasn't sure of. Jason Reitman has made Juno, Up in the Air and Ghostbusters Afterlife, but never anything like Saturday Night. The last showgirl is Pamela Anderson, the feather-red and crystal-adorned lead showgirl of the last remaining traditional show in Las Vegas, facing an uncertain future when she finds out that her show of 30 years will close forever. Supported by her best friend Jamie Lee Curtis, she tries to reconnect with Kiernan Shipka, her daughter whom she barely knows, and guided by her director Gia Coppola, Francis Ford's granddaughter and Sophia's niece, Pamela must find her new place in the world. And here is the 85-year-old grandfather, or godfather, Francis Ford Coppola, with his film already shown this year at Cannes. Megalopolis sounds incredibly close to Megalomania. The great director who feels the need to tell the great story of the great city as a metaphor that encompasses the great story of humanity. Forgive me, but I doubt very much that this project will ever really produce emotion or meaning to match its ambition. Apparently, no one dares to say no to Grandpa.
Señora.
¿Sí?
Zoe Saldaña is a defense lawyer in Mexico City who helps Carla Sofia Gascon, before she was Carla Sofia, disappear from his life as a drug lord by becoming Emilia Perez, now yes, Carla Sofia, leaving behind Selena Gomez and the children they raised together. The process is a success, but the past crawls back and threatens to undo all that has been achieved. Jacques Audiard presents this fusion of pop opera, narco-thriller and gender-affirming drama with Selena Gomez, Carla Sofia Gascon, Adriana Paz and Zoe Saldaña receiving all together the shared prize for Best Actress at the Cannes Film Festival 2024. Meanwhile, Luca Guadagnino made his own Queer, the autobiographical novel by beat legend William S. Burroughs, and Daniel Craig made his own Lee, an expatriate in post-war Mexico City who walks the streets frequenting gay bars and ingesting wherever illegal substances are available. Along with Drew Starkey, he embarks on a series of trips that lead to unexpected encounters and provide sobering lessons in what Burroughs called the algebra of need, also available this week at Venice 2024. Since Nicole Kidman doesn't get all the pleasure she wants from her husband, Antonio Banderas, it's only a matter of time before she finds it in the very young and impertinent intern, Harris Dickinson, an erotism that soon turns into a corporate power struggle. Despite the trite plot, Halina Rein remarks on her intention to explore the complex emotional truth of her characters. Perhaps this is what brought Baby Girl into the official competition of the Biennale di Venezia 2024. This Palme d'Or winner at Cannes 2024, directed by Sean Baker, follows the relationship between Anora, a New York-based sex worker, and Vanya, the son of a Russian oligarch. Anora experiences the romance as a dream come true, which she tries to hold on to when the young man's powerful family threatens to destroy it. The Palme d'Or seems to crown Baker's step-by-step ascent with Tangerine, The Florida Project, and Red Rocket. In Eden, we can find the perfect life designed by Ron Howard, beautifully performed by Jude Law and Vanessa Kirby, together with Sydney Sweeney, Daniel Brühl, and Ana de Armas. But the most interesting thing about the story, written by Noah Pink of Tetris, is that alongside intrigue and suspense, it offers keen insights into the pitfalls of idealistic hubris. Richard Gere, an acclaimed American documentary filmmaker based in O, Canada, is reunited with Paul Schrader 44 years after American Gigolo and agrees to tell his life story to a documentary crew led by Michael Imperioli. His wife, Uma Thurman, stands guard to try to protect her husband's legacy, but as memories surface and come to life in flashbacks, the great man's true story comes to light, based on Foregone from 2021 by Russell Banks.
It's been decades since I had to seduce a woman.
You'll never replace Becca.
Vincent Castle, in the meantime, is a tech entrepreneur so heartbroken by the death of his wife, Diane Kruger, that he has designed the shrouds, but technologically enhanced in a way that allows loved ones to watch their relatives decompose, pure Cronenberg. But when the grave of his wife is desecrated, Vincent goes into crisis and involves Diane Kruger's sister, also played by Diane Kruger, her ex-husband, Guy Pearce, and Sandrine Holt, the enigmatic wife of a dying Hungarian tycoon. Total, complete, and absolute Cronenberg, it also passed through Cannes 2024.